because someday you'll retire. And yes, folks, there is life after retirement.
Take stock in America. U.S. Savings Bonds.
105.9 WCXR Woodbridge, Washington, and WCPT Alexandria, Washington.
You're listening to Spectrum on 105.9 WCXR and AM 730 WCPT. And our guest with us this morning is physical fitness guru Richard Simmons. Good morning, Richard. Welcome to Spectrum.
Good morning.
How are you?
Well, I just did my sit-ups, my push-ups, my leg raises. I walked up and down the stairs of my hotel, and I'm feeling pretty fit.
You have a new video out called Sweating to the Oldies, number 3.
Can you believe it? You know, all the exercise videos in the early to mid 70s, it was basically you'd get this kind of elevator music. You know, nobody really owned it. You hired a couple guys, they came in, they did this music, and I said, wait a minute, why can't we use real music? Why can't we use the music I used to eat to? It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to, and all these terrific songs, Mony Mony and Born to Be Wild, and so 8 years ago, I produced Sweatin' to the Oldies 1, and I got all these songs, and I got a rock and roll band together, and I picked real people, some of the people very overweight, some of the people who had lost a great deal of weight, put them all together in a room, band started playing, and Sweatin' to the Oldies was born. So every time I do another tape, they just get kind of more fun, more exciting, just to say to people, hey, if you're not a hard body, if you're not going to the gym 4 days a week, if you're not eating perfectly, at least you should be moving, and that's what these tapes have done for people.
In a little while, we're going to talk about you, how you got into this. You come from New Orleans. A lot of people don't know that. What made you decide that, hey, I want to help people. I want to make people lose weight? Especially being from New Orleans, where the food is abounding there.
New Orleans, Louisiana has the greatest food in the whole world, and at the age of 7 years old, I stood on street corners and sold pralines, which are these little small candies with pecans in it. So food has always been a very important part of my life. But then it took over my life. When I graduated high school, I was almost 300 pounds. I'm a compulsive eater. It's not that I eat when I'm bored or lonely or unhappy. It's just that food has always been important to me. My memories of my birthdays and holidays and going out for dinner, it was always rather a happy momentum time in my life. But then I never knew how to control it. And back in the 50s, nutrition wasn't really something you talked about. So I went to diet doctors, and I took diet shots and amphetamines and pills and every way to lose weight. And one day I was getting to my car, and there was a note on my car, and it was not signed, and the note simply said, "Dear Richard, you're very funny, but fat people die young. Please don't die." And I was 19 years old, and I decided that I was going to learn how to eat, that I wasn't going to starve or throw up or do anything stupid, and I slowly but surely cut down my portions. I began walking, and I lost my weight. And I went out to California, and I tried to find a health club to go to. It was, 1972, and gosh, it was like the buzz was the health clubs. And I went from health club to health club, and they all didn't seem to fit for me. Everyone looked like they were chiseled out of marble, and I still felt very fat. And I finally found a small studio, and I went to go join, and when I walked in to join, this lady about 5 feet tall, 280 pounds, walked in the gym. And they looked at this obese woman and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, miss, but we're full." And it was a brand new gym. So I knew that there was a void. And 6 months later, I opened my exercise studio in Beverly Hills, which is called Slimmons, and I started teaching classes for overweight people. And that's how it began. Me helping me, and then me trying to teach others what I had done.
You're listening to Spectrum on 105.9 WCXR and AM 730 WCPT. I'm Thomas Grooms. Our guest is physical fitness guru Richard Simmons, and Richard has a new video out called Sweating to the Oldies 3. You started in 1973, it's 1993, 20 years later, but you have that little something extra. You follow up when people lose weight. You're known for calling people to see how they're doing. You check on them. Why do you prefer this maintenance?
Well, it's one thing to put out a product that you believe in, and when I do Deal a Meal and Sweatin' tapes and I do infomercials, and I'm concerned if they're using the program. I'm concerned if they understand it. I'm concerned if they're losing weight. And I'm certainly concerned if they keep it off. So every day I put 4 to 5 hours aside, get my letters out, and I call people. Some of the people I've been talking to for 2 decades. Some people I just got a letter from last week. I call to see how they are, try to motivate them. Being overweight is so tough in the 90s. It was tough in the 50s, but in the 90s it's much more of a visual society. We went through, being too thin, then we got a little bit bigger, and now all of a sudden we've come into 1993, and the thin is in again. The very gaunt, skinny look is in again. And so this is reflecting upon the youth of today, and I like to call these people. See, when I started on General Hospital, I played Richard Simmons, and I had an exercise studio during the Luke and Laura era. 95% of the letters I got were from women. Now in 1993, 30% of my letters are from men and 10% are from teenagers. And I just pick up the phone and I read their letter and maybe underline some parts of it that I want to highlight to them, ask them how they're doing. And, for most people, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down, lose and gain, lose and gain. But the people that stick to the exercise, the people that religiously get up and walk, the people that put a video in an hour after dinner and stay up a little late to do, those are the people that maintain their health, but they also maintain their spirit. It's not just about weight loss. It's not just about numbers on a scale. It's about how do you feel about yourself when you get up in the morning. Do you feel like a hero or do you feel like a soul? I mean, what do you feel like in the morning? Do you set your goals in the morning? Do you plan your meals? Not that it should overtake your life, and for some people it's done that. But you got to get up in the morning and you have to feel good about yourself. And I call these people and go, how do you feel about yourself today? Tell me three things that you can compliment yourself about today. Try to get them motivated, because let's face it, there's not a lot of motivation and inspiration in the media.
Now, when you look at your videos, you use real people, not Hollywood actors. They're real people.
In Sweatin to the Oldies 3, it had an open audition, and over 500 people came. They came from 32 states. They flew into Los Angeles to audition for Sweatin to the Oldies 3. And they ranged from 12 years old to 91 years old. And I had to pick 19 people to be in Sweatin 3. And so I chose some just starting, some who had never exercised before, some who were halfway at their goal, some people who had maintained a weight loss of 100 pounds for a couple years. So it was a potpourri of different people. And the music goes on, and I use real people because I'm a real person. I fight the battle of the bulge every day. I weigh myself every day. I get guilty if I eat a third piece of pizza. I mean, I'm still the eater I was when I was eating 4 fried bologna sandwiches on white bread with mayonnaise, sitting in St. Louis Cathedral Schoolyard, New Orleans. That hasn't changed for me. It's just that, I have a little bit more balance in my life.
Our guest this morning, if you just joined us, is physical fitness guru Richard Simmons. He's promoting his new video, Sweating to the Oldies 3. The holidays are almost upon us.
No, did you have to talk about the holidays?
Trick or treat, and then let's talk turkey. Thanksgiving's coming. Can we eat turkey and stay slim?
Everything is portions. I mean, I will eat a couple candy bars for Halloween. I won't eat 30 of them. When it comes to Thanksgiving, I'll have my couple slices of turkey, a little bit of stuffing, my vegetables, a small piece of pie. You see, no one got fat by eating one big meal. No one got fat by eating a piece of pumpkin pie with ice cream on it. It's gone back for seconds. It's gone back for thirds. It's going into the kitchen, helping people do the dishes while you eat out of the pots and pans. It's taking leftovers home from grandma and eating in the car. It's getting up the next morning and opening the refrigerator and having those leftovers for breakfast. This is where we get in problems. We get in problems because we don't know about portions. And if people ate a big salad before they had their Thanksgiving dinner, if they would plan it, have a light breakfast, have a light lunch, and save those fat carbs and those protein carbs and those starch carbs for dinner. But you know it's going to happen. You get caught up in the whole family. Oh my God, I haven't seen you for years. Come here, sit down. And before you know it, you become robotic. And it's something that's going to happen the rest of your life. You just have to learn how to handle it. Some people handle it, to me, in the wrong way. They stop going out. They don't go to people's homes for Thanksgiving. They don't prepare the turkey and dressing like they did when they were kids because they have that fear of food. And you have to be somewhere in between. You have to be able to live in a realistic world and learn to just say, hey, no, I don't want any more of that. No, I'm not. I learned there was a couple little things I learned when I started to lose weight, like not buttering the bread, eating the roll or the piece of bread without butter on it. Watching the salad dressing, taking the fork and dipping in a dressing and then dipping in the salad. Learning little things that could make you eat less of the fattening food and more of the things that your body needs. So I don't want people to clam up during the holiday seasons. I want them to have a good time. But if you can't have a good time without a piece of chocolate in your mouth, then you have to sit down and realize what your goals are and how to stop these habits. And for some people, they can do it alone. They can get a deal a meal or they get a Sweatin tape. For other people, they have to go to meetings like Weight Watchers or TOPS or OA where there's support. You know, you could gain weight alone, but for some people, they can't lose weight alone, and they need that support.
What makes the Deal a Meal program different from the others that are on the market?
Well, Deal a Meal is basically balanced. I mean, God made 6 food groups. He made fruits and vegetables, and he made protein, and he made starch, and he made fat, and he made dairy. I mean, there's only 6 food groups. No matter what you're eating, you can break it down into the 6 food groups. There are some people that say eat lots of protein. There's some people that say eat carbs, low carbs, high carbs, non-fat, low fat. Your body needs balance. It needs all of the foods. And with Deal a Meal, it is a tangible, 3-dimensional wallet with cards. And when you eat, you take the responsibility of moving those cards over so that you are saying, hey, I had an apple for breakfast, I'm moving over a fruit card. I had a piece of toast and I put butter on it. The butter cost me a fat card and the bread cost me a starch card. And that's what I had. And so it's very realistic. To me, if someone said, Richard, you can never eat butter again. You can never have whole milk again. You cannot ever have sugar again. I would go up to the World Trade Center and jump because I can't live in that kind of a world. I can't live in a world unless I have some of the things I love. If someone says, Richard, no more Kit Kat bars, take me to the bridge. Take me and throw me off because I live in that real world of food. And so Deal a Meal just teaches people portions, and it makes them take responsibility for what they're eating. And most people don't take responsibility for what they're eating. They eat and they go, oh, I shouldn't have had that, and they move on. And with Deal a Meal, it teaches you balance, and that's the only way you're going to keep weight off.
If someone's listening this morning and for the first time have heard about Deal a Meal and they want to get more information, what should they do?
It comes out in the stores in January. And it'll be in, all the stores. I just sold it on TV, and it's still running on TV, the infomercial. But I'm putting it into retail so that more people can get it. That's why I brought the Sweatin tapes into retail, because, you'll go into a store, you'll pick it up, you'll read it, not only for yourself. I mean, if there's someone listening, maybe they're not overweight themselves, but they have an overweight child or an overweight spouse. It's very difficult to help somebody unless you're on it. That's why I always ask the family to do it together. Get the cards, look at the portions, do it together as a family, because they sabotage each other. I get a lot of husbands and wives who one may be overweight or they're both overweight, and one brings home cakes and the next brings home chips, and they sabotage what they're doing. You got to eat it as a family. You have to eat healthy as a family should eat.
Now, Richard, over the past 20 years, I'm sure you've worked with some very interesting people, in the course of making your videos and implementing your Deal a Meal program. Can you tell us some interesting stories?
Of people that I met?
Weight loss stories.
Oh, goodness. I just met for the first time a lady that I've been talking to on the phone for 2.5 years. Her name's Angela Vitello. And this is a perfect story about leftovers. July 4th, she left the picnic at 425 pounds. She had taken home hot dogs, hamburgers, cheesecake, macaroni, Caesar salad. She had it all piled up in her lap. She drove home, put it in the refrigerator, and she was getting up the next morning to eat. And her mother called her on the phone and said, Angela, what are you doing? She said, well, I'm just going to eat some of the leftovers. And said, look in your kitchen in that 3rd or 4th drawer where you got that Deal a Meal thing and get it out. And Angela did. And she started using the cards. And she didn't eat those leftovers that day. And for 2 years, I've talked to her on the phone. And last week, I got to meet her. And she had lost 282 pounds, down to 147 pounds. That's the kind of stories I get. People who who weigh but 2, 3, 4, 500 pounds. I just got a lady in a hospital in Boston, a Jewish Memorial Hospital named Happy Lucan. I met her when she was 700 pounds, when she hadn't left her bedroom in 5 years. And we got her to a hospital, and she's lost her first 100 pounds. So it's going from city to city, meeting people, some who are just starting, some who are so low. Susan Long had a beautiful baby. Baby went bicycle riding, got killed in front of her house. She gained 100 pounds. She ate out of grief. And I called her, she wrote me a letter. She lost her weight. She just adopted a brand new baby. These are all the stories that keep me going, that motivate me.
How might the average person benefit from watching Sweating to the Oldies 3?
Well, first of all, it's one of the few videos that it's fun. You know, when an overweight person considers exercise, they hate the thought of it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be strenuous. I'm going to hurt myself. I'm not going to keep up with other people. I'm going to be intimidated. So I kind of erased all that, and I sort of said, hey, I want you to come to my party. I'm going to have this party in your home, but I want you to come to this party. The music starts, the balloons, Sweatin' Land, the rock and roll band, the Tunnel of Love, and real people walk on stage, and all of a sudden these people go, hey, wait a minute, I look just like that guy. Wait, I look just like that girl. Look how they're moving. They're doing this. It's dancing. Look, they're just, I mean, it's, I think I can do this. And before you know it, they start, when they put the video in, they sit down, and all of a sudden, they kind of stand, and they start to move around. And they love it. And before you know it, the hour's up. And I can't believe I did this. Now, some people can only start, and I just finished with a girl in Durham, and I went to her house, and she was 400 pounds, and she could only last 5 minutes. But that was a very rich 5 minutes for her. It was 5 minutes where she got her cardiovascular working, her heart working. She got a little pleasure out of seeing these people. I saw a big, wide smile on her face, and that really made me feel terrific. And anyone out there who is not exercising, you have to start off slow. You have to walk or do water aerobics or get a tape for beginners or find a Y or someplace where they have a stretch class. Stretching is one of the best exercises in the whole world. But for God's sakes, do something. Don't wait until the last rum ball is finished on December 31st. Get on now and do something now. Find a park to go that's a safe place to walk. And think about your life and think about your goals while you walk. But do something now.
Well, speaking of goals, Richard, let's talk about your goals. What do you want to accomplish in the next decade as far as getting America fit?
I'm very concerned and worried about the next generation. This young youth generation is growing up in front of the computer, in front of the Game Boy. They're eating a great deal of fat. They're not taking PE, and they're very stressed about, they see the world, they watch the television, the killings, the guns, the problems, and they want to get ahead, and they want to learn, but they want it all very fast. And if you don't have your health, there's no degree in the world that's going to keep you alive here. So in this next decade, going into the next 10 years of my life, I want to continue traveling and teaching, continue to motivate people to like themselves, but put a special emphasis on the young kids so they grow up with a better education. We need the school system to change their lunch program. We need them to get textbooks that are very recent in nutrition, teach the kids about their body and how it works, and not put the emphasis just on the jocks or the athletes in the class, but everyone should be able to benefit from some sort of an educational program in their school.
You're listening to Spectrum on 105.9 WCXR and AM 730 WCPT. I'm Thomas Grooms. Our guest this morning, physical fitness guru Richard Simmons. We're talking about his new video, Sweating to the Oldies 3. What was the most rewarding aspect of making this video?
Oh, you know what the greatest part is? At the end of the video, after we've done the cool down, everyone gets in a Soul Train line, and then everyone dances down the line at the end of the video, and it tells their name and how much weight they've lost. And without a doubt, all the letters that I get about the Sweatin' tapes, that's what they talk about. They love the music, they love this, they love that, they think I'm funny, I'm motivating, but then they say, and when those people danced down the line, and I saw what they had lost, without knowing who these people were, that gave me such inspiration. And I sit at the end of the line right under the camera, right on the floor, and I watch them come closer to the camera and smile, and then move to the side and wait for the next person to come. And I can just see them. They're radiant. They glow because they feel that they've had a great accomplishment in their life. And I think it's like something like a prom. It's something like an achievement in your life where you feel so good about yourself.
What future projects do you have coming up?
Well, I'm doing Sweatin' to the Oldies 4. Then I am doing, Then I'm doing Disco Sweat. That's right. YMCA. I'm then doing Tonin' Time, because when people lose weight, they need to tone their muscles. I'm doing a new project for kids called Sweatin' Kids, and I'm doing a Sweatin' Salsa, hot, steamy Latin music. Ole, ole!
It's great. Our guest this morning has been physical fitness guru Richard Simmons. And one more time, how can people see your videos if they would like to?
They can go in any store and you'll find Sweatin' 1, Sweatin' 2, Sweatin' 3, and I'm working on Sweatin' 4. I hope that today you've learned a little teeny bit, that you get motivated. Don't wait till tomorrow. Sit down after this show and write out a list of all the things you want to accomplish. And look at that list every day. Paste it to your bathroom mirror. And when you wake up, say 4 words. I am worth it.
Thank you very much for joining us on Spectrum. Next time you get through D.C., pop by again.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it for this week's edition of Spectrum. I'm Thomas Grooms. Join us again next Sunday morning for another edition of Spectrum on 105.9 FM WCXR at AM 730 WCPT.